Good evening, Richmond, and welcome to tonight's program. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Craig Johnson. Many of you may know the voice, and there's a good reason for that. I am the host of The Really Real Deal on 990 AM WLEE, otherwise known as the Big Dog for talk radio in Central Virginia. And welcome to tonight's program. Want to thank my engineer on the other side of the window there, Akil, Akil does a wonderful job as a volunteer here at Comcast, and we're broadcasting to you from the Comcast studio right on the boulevard near Broad Street in Midtown of Richmond, Virginia. And I want to thank also the fine folks at Comcast that make this programming available. And it's a privilege to come before you. And this is my fourth year doing this, and this is the second week of this year's 6-week series. And the subject that we're dealing with is, are we currently living in an American-style communism? Now, for many of you who follow me on the air in my writing and speaking and radio, well, you would know what my answer is. It would be an obvious and unequivocal yes. Yes, we are living in an American-style communism. After all, folks, the very definition of progressivism, the political progressives, is to bring incremental progressive steps towards communism. They don't say to you communism, but there are many that believe a progressive simply believes in progress, and a conservative or a constitutional conservative or a Christian conservative, anyone over on the center right side of the aisle where I would fit, well, those folks, they would say, those folks like Craig Johnson or Brother Craig, the Hatchet Man, my radio name, those guys like Brother Craig, they don't believe in progress. Perish the thought. What we believe in as conservatives, as constitutional conservatives, as Christian conservatives, which goes 100% against the ideology of communism. And this communism there comes in many guises. There's steps up to communism. Lenin said the purpose of socialism is communism. And so all of these isms, whether it's fascism, whether it's socialism, even the type of capitalism we currently have in America, which is called crony capitalism, it is not free enterprise. They're down, there's free enterprise down at the bottom, but up at the top is crony capitalism. You have to have a government hookup, and this is what happens when government grows so large, when government, they're too big for their britches. 18 enumerated powers to the federal government in this Constitution. See, the founders that created this nation, they knew that government will have a tendency to grow and grow and grow. And what we're living under currently, this current American communism, this is what the founders feared. Okay, when the woman asked Mr. Franklin, what type of government have you given us, sir? He replied, a republic. If you can keep it, if you can keep it, because they knew that there would be people in the government who would want total control and power, who would want to be kings, rulers, despots, but just dressed up with a different name, because after all, this is America. You just can't call yourself a tin pot dictator or a banana republic dictator or a communistic dictator. You will still call yourself president, senator, congressman, crony, capitalist beneficiary. You still be called these things, but you're a communist. You're a communist. And it's simple, and there's several ways to prove this. Number one, first way to prove this is you see all these bailouts of company. Now, under free enterprise, which is what we conservative Christian constitutionalists, what we believe in, and I have an article here by Charles Koch. It's on the desk here somewhere. I'm not going to read the entire article. We don't have time for that, but I'll touch on it a little bit. I meant to do that on my radio broadcast today. And time just, an hour goes by so fast, you'd be surprised. But the beautiful thing of free enterprise, and this is one of the things I admire about the Koch brothers, they fought against something that's put in the tax law as a crony capital giveaway. And it was a benefit to the industry, and which meant a benefit to Koch Industries because of the benefit to the industry overall. So Koch Industries is a part of the energy industry, so they benefited. They were the only company to argue against this, and it was this ethanol law, because ethanol is, if it had to survive on its own under the pressures that capitalism or free enterprise places upon any endeavor, this is how you get excellence out of free enterprise, and you get, capitalism out of crony capitalism. It never works. It never works. Because the pressure, just like pressure creates a diamond, you can't go in your laboratory and get a cubic zirconium and go tell your baby, hey, look, I love you, here's my cubic. No, you get down on your knee and you bring her a diamond. Real pressure over years and years and years, millions of years, created something beautiful. There's no substitute for pressure, folks. There's just no substitute. Okay, so with the economics of, and that's our focus tonight in this branch, because we started last week. We've got 4 more after this, and we're focusing tonight pretty much on the economic aspects of what it means to be in a communist country. And just get out of your mind the goose stepping soldiers with guns. That's how it was done. 1917, the Bolsheviks. That's not how it's done now. Okay, Mao did it that way. Castro did it that way. Pol Pot did it that way. Pol Pot killed 1/3 of his country. And a gentleman, Rommel, wrote a book that delineates the democide. Democide is murder by government. Most of the murder in human history has been by government. Okay, government. And so the founders wanted to keep our government, federal government, 18 enumerated powers, 18 and only 18. So why so few? Well, because then you wouldn't have situations where an entrepreneur like Charles Koch has to go to the government and say, do not give us this benefit. Because in free enterprise, you would not have that benefit. In free enterprise, ethanol would have to survive on its merits. And it really does so much damage, because what you have this artificial incentive created by government for a product that does not work. Ethanol requires more energy than it produces. The ethanol they add to your gasoline, the gas mileage you get, the energy produced, if you calculate the tractor that uses diesel fuel to grow the corn, the truck that uses diesel fuel to transport the ethanol, the energy used in the ethanol plant, the corn that's used that's diverted from food use, which causes the price of food to go up. And corn is a staple product now. And prices around the world, because we're living in world markets, whether it's oil, gas, ethanol, corn, food, we're living in world markets. So prices for corn and all the various corn-based products just going through the roof. Why? Because there's this artificial market created, and farmers are just growing it because they can get this subsidy from the federal government. And the Constitution does not give the federal government the power to do that. And so it gets to the place, just like I said on this program last week. Why do we even have a Constitution if we're not going to use the Constitution? And so what we need to elect people that understand this Constitution, and more importantly, men and women of character that can stand when they get accused and vilified and smeared and been smirched and lied upon, and sometimes even get imprisoned, falsely imprisoned, or even killed. They still have to stand. You have to. It's an old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And this nation is currently falling for communism. We're falling for it. because you have a semi-literate, semi-articulate president who has a little bit of brown on his skin. And if you go 1/16 of an inch through his skin, there's nothing there. That's all he has is skin, and he can read a teleprompter. Now, I don't have a teleprompter here. I don't have a teleprompter anywhere where I go. And I've seen a great orator, a great statesman, a great politician, and never really use unless he was given a major speech, not have a need for a teleprompter. Last time I saw that was Ronald Reagan. Okay, Obama can't do it. Neither Bush could do it. Clinton, kind of was okay on the stump, although you knew he was lying. Obama can't give a speech to a class of elementary school children without his teleprompter present. Can't do it because he's crafted a lie. He's crafted a lie. And so when he's without that teleprompter, the anger in him, the hatred for the inherently good and beautiful and efficient American system of economics, free enterprise, liberty, which is, again, and it comes right out of the Bible, okay, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there also is liberty. And so these people who love communism, they hate faith. They hate faith. They want control. They want control of all of the money. And so these crony capitalists, what they do is they get a pass when a business venture fails. And so the business losses become socialized, meaning that everyone has to share when there's a loss. But when they turn a profit, they remain private. That is not free enterprise, my friends. That is not free enterprise. If a business fails or if a business succeeds, if a business succeeds fabulously, you take Bill Gates. I don't like Bill Gates's politics. I don't like Warren Buffett's politics, but they are both billionaires, the two richest men in America, and they deserve their money. They deserve their money. And last time I checked, no government hookup gave Bill Gates his wealth. The genius of Bill Gates, the business acumen of Bill Gates, and not that he's a genius technologically, there was someone else that invented everything and he just sort of had the business smarts to come in and be the big dog in that relationship. And the gentleman that was the technical brain, he needed a little help to be able to match wits with Bill Gates. Now, we could argue about the fine print detail, morality of that. But what we cannot argue with is that it was their own private affair. It was not a government hookup. It was pure free enterprise. And this is the fascinating thing about Bill Gates and Microsoft and the technological revolution. And this is an important point about the superiority of free enterprise over socialism, fascism, crony capitalism, communism, whatever ism you want. You package them all together because different people give them different names, but they all mean the same thing. Free enterprise, on the other hand, Bill Gates made himself into a billionaire, but Bill Gates also created several billionaires and thousands of millions. There is a thing called the Bill Gates millionaire, the Microsoft millionaire. And Bill Gates and Microsoft are not alone in that. There are many, many high-tech companies. I mean, even the most recent one, Facebook. And again, Zuckerberg stole the idea from someone else. These two twin brothers, they sued him and won, $685 million or something like that. So again, I'm not going to debate or argue on whether it's moral. I think it's immoral, but that's for another program. But in capitalism or in free enterprise, people have to be able to, you understand that there's a dog eat dog aspect to it. And some people find that unappealing and they feel like, oh, I'm a little dog. I can't go up against the big dog. So I need a bigger dog, i.e. government. And what you're doing, folks, when you do that, you're selling your freedom. You're like Esau and Jacob, who you selling your birthright. You're saying, I'm hungry right now, brother, give me a bowl of beans. Okay, sell me your birthright, I'll give you a bowl of beans. He can't stand the hunger pain for a moment, but his birthright goes through generations, even to this very day. So he makes an exchange. Birthright, temporary satisfaction of my physical needs. And this is what we're doing. We are selling our birthrights as Americans. We're actually even selling our birthrights as Christians. Okay? It's another thing, it says in here, I'm old and I've lived a long life. And one thing I've never seen is a child of God begging bread. Never seen it, the writer said in this book. Never seen it. And so if we're children of God, if we are truly inheritors of something divine, something special, this great, beautiful nation that was founded, if we are the inheritors of that, we need to value that. We need to cease and desist with this weak need giving in to the federal government, of wanting the big Uncle Sam to come in and save us. Because when Uncle Sam saves you from the big dog, now you're subservient to a bigger dog. The dog you want him to save you from may be violating your rights. But when the government takes its place, it's codified into law. And so you are selling yourself, you're selling your children, you're selling your grandchildren, you're selling your great-grandchildren. And this is the destruction of this nation. This is exactly what is happening. We are living in communism, American style, not with guns, with trickery, with words, and with sweet sounding laws. Affordable Care Act. Let me give you another sweet sounding law from another tyrant that did not want free enterprise, but wanted state control over everything. And that was Adolf Hitler. And what was the name of that law? The 1933 Enabling Act. And it enabled Hitler to bypass the legislature, get stuff done. You know how we complain, the Congress, they can't get along, Republican and Democrat can't get along. We just want to get stuff done. How's that work when you go to the doctor and you demand an antibiotic when you don't need one? And if he doesn't give you one, you keep going to a doctor until there's a doctor with low enough character to give you what you want, what you think you need. Now we have superbugs that the antibiotics can't kill. That's big government for you. This is what they call that law from the 1933 Enabling Act, a law to remedy the distress of the people and the right. A law to remedy distress. Okay. They always give it a sweet sounding name. Okay. Always. Affordable Care Act is taking control of 1/6 of the American economy. And so you get sick, you have to go to the government. And when they do the complete final takeover, they're going to blame the insurance companies. And I've been saying this from way back in the beginning. I know these people because I bother to read and study history. I interview people literally from all over the world who are experts in all these many fields. If you ever care to just Google Brother Craig the Hatchet Man. I have a radio broadcast on the internet where we have an archive, and there are somewhere between 200 and 300 interviews in that archive. And you can scroll through and whatever subject, and these are in-depth interviews. Sometimes we go on for an hour, some 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour. We've even had some that go longer than an hour. We really get in-depth, and quite often these are authors, newsmakers, experts, politicians. People, we like to talk about the people and things that make America great. And now, of course, we also talk about the people and things that are destroying America. We're not shy and bashful about that. And this is how you fight communism. Because, see, the devil doesn't take a holiday. They run in 3 shifts, okay, 24/7. Never take a day off, never take a holiday. And so if we're going to restore this nation, it's not that we're going to save ourselves from communism. We have to restore free enterprise. And if we're going to do that, then there are certain things, the people that sort of get it. Now, I know there are many of you who are not going to agree, and that's fine. That's fine. There are many that like Barack Obama. They love Mr. Obama. I have nothing good to say about the man. Nothing. And I will never back down from that. I will never back down from that. But the fact of the matter is, everyone has a right to their say. Everyone has a right to vote. Everyone has a right to volunteer their time. Everyone has a right to donate to the candidate of their choice, or they should have that right. Anyway, we had a recent Supreme Court decision that lightened up the heavy hand of government on that freedom. This is a freedom that the Constitution guarantees us. And the heavy hand of government has been regulating and strangling it, and that government lightened up a little bit. But the government is still in violation of your rights, because it says Congress shall make no law. There's not an excuse because it happened to be campaign finance reform. It says no law against freedom of speech, among other things, freedom of association. And this Obama scam law is in blatant violation. And again, communism versus free enterprise. Under free enterprise, and interesting, I have an inkling that our next president just may well be another black man, okay? Dr. Ben Carson, a man who has intimate knowledge and understanding of health care. A man who has shown that he has the courage to stand 5 feet from Barack Obama and speak truth to that man without fear. 5 feet from him now at a national prayer breakfast last year. 5 feet from the man and spoke the truth. And now I shouldn't have to say that 3 times. It warmed my heart. It's just that it's so rare. Okay. And it should not be a rare phenomena to have a tyrannical runaway government that's totally outside the bounds of the Constitution. This is the agreement. This is like your marriage vows. Okay. Your marriage vow, there's no exception to your marriage vow just because you feel like it or you happen to be articulate and went to Harvard. There's no exceptions. No exceptions. You don't like it, don't get married. Period. End of statement. Now, Barack Obama doesn't like the Constitution. He's on record saying so. You can go to YouTube and pull it up. It was a 2004 interview that he gave where he disparaged the Bill of Rights. Tyrants never like this. They never like it because this says what the government can't do. It doesn't restrict you, the viewer, you, the citizen, you, the voter, you, the taxpayer. It says the government, Congress, the executive shall not, must not, will not, and cannot do X, Y, Z to the citizen. But that's not good enough for you. You have to be like Esau. And see, all the answers are right in your Bibles. You have to be like Esau. You have to sell your birthright. You have a wonderful birthright. If you only have the nerve, the manhood, the womanhood, the integrity, the courage, the faith to stand on your own. And if you falter or if you see your neighbor falters, your son, your daughter, your family, your friend, your coworker, or even a stranger, what did Jesus say about who your neighbor is? Okay? You see a person in need, you help them. You help them. And we talk about wanting the original idea of America, limited government. How can government be limited if the citizen will not step forward? If the citizen will not come together? After all, the First Amendment says peaceable association, clause 5. So you're free. Now, I know that the current federal government is attacking people. The IRS is attacking people. You have a woman right now keeps taking the Fifth Amendment, Lois Lerner. Obama put the IRS in charge of Obama scam. The IRS now, and people, your senses don't go off to say, oh, wow, why is the IRS in charge of Obama scam? The IRS is also involved in a thing called FATCA, which is a thing where they're ostensibly trying to repatriate American citizens' money that they've earned in foreign countries. And they want to get that money, the taxes, to come into America. But what it is all the governments working together. And the real truth of it is they're creating a taxing scheme to support the one world government. And this is where we're headed. And so in a later episode of this series, of this 6-week series, we're going to deal with the international scene. And when we deal with that, we'll deal with FATCA in more detail. But this is sort of a pseudo treaty, which is, again, it's unconstitutional. Treaties have to be ratified by the Senate. It's unconstitutional. Just like Obama scam is unconstitutional. And you very rarely hear anyone on the news talking about the unconstitutionality of it. You very rarely. Now, how was the civil rights battle won? People engaged in civil disobedience. The law said X, Y, Z is against the law. 100 people show up, and what do? X, Y, Z. And they say, okay, lock me up, take me away. And that's on the news constantly. And you see, and you have Dr. King writing letters from the Birmingham jail. You have young people of all colors and stripes from all parts of the country getting on buses and going to places, and they're saying, okay, lock us up. So many people, the jail won't hold them. So now, if it's unconstitutional, again, we're going to repeat this until folk get it. Why have a constitution if you're not going to use it? What are we waiting? Who are we waiting for to come in and use the Constitution and enforce it? Is Obama and the Obama bots and the Democrats, are they all of a sudden going to understand, oh my God, I've been violating the Constitution? Oh, silly me. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And that's the fatal flaw that I find in the opposition that so far are the people that are supposed to save the republic. Their failure, it's a tremendous failure. As a matter of fact, let me get to this article, and then we're going to open the phone lines up. Charles Koch. Okay, here we go. We're not going to read the entire article, but one of the reasons I want to go, because near the end of this article, there is a point at which I have to disagree with Mr. Koch. And he makes wonderful points up until that point, but he's an older gentleman. He's from a different era, there's decency bred into him based on his upbringing. And we are dealing with indecent people. And so we have to have an understanding of who we're dealing with. We have to have an understanding of the times in which we live. And we have to have an understanding that these people do not have noble intentions. And we just I disagree with my friend across the aisle. We all want the same thing. And we just have different methods to get there. I've heard that 1,000 times. If I hear that one more time, I might, well, no, I have to keep my cool. But anyway, this is Charles Koch, who is one of the Koch brothers. There are 4 of them, by the way, and people like to hate on Charles and David, those 2, but there are 2 more Koch brothers. And they're a fine family. They've donated hundreds of millions of dollars to hospitals, museums, all kinds of charities. All for years and years and years they've done this. But Charles and David have also donated $18 million to political causes, and that's in the past 25 years, which ranks them number 59 of people or entities that make political donations. They rank number 59, but they are receiving the hatred, and that's right, hatred from Democrats who are teaching you to hate very, very good and fine and decent and honorable men. A little bit of this, Charles Koch. And this was an article maybe about 2 weeks ago, I think. I've devoted most of my life to understanding the principles that enable people to improve their lives. It is those principles, the principles of a free society, that have shaped my life, my family, our company, and America itself. Unfortunately, the fundamental concepts of dignity, respect, equality before the law, and personal freedom are under attack by our nation's own government. That's why, if we want to restore a free society and create greater well-being and opportunity for all Americans, we have no choice but to fight for those principles. I have been doing so for more than 50 years, primarily through educational efforts. It was only in the past decade that I realized the need to also engage in the political process. So this is a man who's given away far more money to educational efforts, to hospitals, to museums over his life. For 50 years he's been doing this. But here recently he's also given 18 million over the years to political causes. And I'm going to skip forward a little bit here because the article is just too long to read in total. I don't want to bore you out there, and we do want to get to your phone calls. Instead of encouraging free and open debate, collectivists, okay, and that's all these groups I've delineated here: communism, socialism, fascism. Fascism is a marriage between big government and big industry. Okay, you, the little independent small businessman, need not apply. Okay, but and crony capitalism, all of that. These are the collectivists, and they strive to discredit and intimidate opponents. They engage in character assassination. Folks, they do far worse than that. I'm skipping forward again. Coke companies employ 60,000 Americans, 60,000 now, who make thousands of products that Americans want and need. According to government figures, our employees and the 143,000 additional American jobs they support generate nearly $11.7 billion in compensation and benefits. 11.7. And see, you cannot help the working man by tearing down people like this who pay out $11.7 billion per year. If you destroy him, those people that receive that $11.7 billion, what are they going to do? Go on unemployment for 4 or 5 years? Go on food stamps? Go on welfare? Of course, some of them will probably find a job somewhere, but all of them won't. Another thing about Koch Industries, they have received well over 700 awards for environmental health and safety excellence since 2009. 700 awards in the last 5 years, folks. Many of them from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Now, this is what I alluded to earlier. Koch Industries was the only major producer in the ethanol industry to argue for the demise of the ethanol tax credit in 2011. And I've been arguing for years that the ethanol tax credit needs to go. Ethanol needs to stand on its own. It's not a winner. It's just a giveaway to farmers so they'll vote Democrat. That's all it is. How do you think Obama won Iowa? A lot of corn grown in Iowa. Okay, these Midwest farm belt states, the only way that these decent, hardworking people are going to vote Democrat is if you purchase their vote. And again, they're like Esau. And I don't know whether to call it Esau with the bowl of beans selling your freedom, or sometimes it's worse than that, folks. You have to say it's 30 pieces of silver. In either event, it's ugly. And in neither event is it beneficial to the person receiving their ill-gotten gains from the government. It is not good. The government should butt out and play umpire and let the American people engage in free enterprise. Call the balls and strikes like you see them, not to seek to choose the winner or the loser. And to be in a position to skim off the top. That's the real reason. They want to skim off the top because the salaries, the perks, the benefits that these people get who run the government, they cannot get that in the free and open marketplace. They cannot get it. The 4 richest counties in the United States of America are the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Enough said on that. Coming to the end of this. Instead of fostering a system that enables people to help themselves, America is now saddled with a system that destroys value, raises costs, hinders innovation, and relegates millions of citizens to a life of poverty, dependency, and hopelessness. This is what happens when elected officials believe that people's lives are better run by politicians and regulators than by the people themselves. Now, this is the last paragraph. This is where I disagree with Mr. Koch. Those and many of our fine, and these are what I would, in the civil war within the Republican Party. And these are the people that have to go up against the Democratic, the neoliberals, the Democrats, that have to stand for the Constitution and have to stand for free enterprise and liberty and all that is pure and good and holy. They have to defend Christianity. They're incapable. They're continually losing in a center-right nation. And Mr. Koch illustrates why. I love him. He's a fine man, but he makes a critical error that many in his generation make. And I love my elders, so please don't take offense. But if I'm going to be the hatchet man, I have to be equal. There's no big hatchet for the Democrats, little hatchet for the Republicans. We just don't sling it that way. But Mr. Koch says, those in power fail to see that more government means less liberty. And liberty is the essence of what it means to be an American. Love of liberty is the American ideal. That's true. But what's false is that those in power fail to see. And again, folks, this is very unpleasant, very unpleasant. But it's a simple fact of the matter. It's not that they fail to see. And if I had $1 for every time that a Republican has said Barack Obama does not understand, my goodness, the Democrats don't get it. What he say? Those in power fail to see. We're in a center-right nation. 2/3 of the government is in the hand of the left, not the center-right. Here in Virginia, where the country started, the top 5 elected officials are Democrats. In a center-right state, we just recently got a property rights amendment passed with 75%. That means 75% of Virginia has common sense. All the Republicans and half the Democrats voted for it. The people are not stupid. So when there's an issue, just like with the marriage amendment, 58% voted for the marriage amendment, 75% for the property rights amendment, 75%. So it's not hopeless. So you who are thinking, oh, it's hopeless, or I'm not going to vote anymore, you got to get that out of your mind. Excuse me, a little sore throat. You've got to get that out of your mind. It is not hopeless. But people of Mr. Koch's generation find, everything about the man, top of the line, grade A, Fine, fine, fine individual. But Mr. Koch does not understand the opposition that he's up against. And many of the middle of the road Republicans that are fighting the Tea Party Republicans, that are fighting the conservative Republicans, that are fighting the constitutional Republicans, they don't get it. And you got Dr. Carson had an article today that summed it up beautifully. And then we're going to, we need to get put the phone number up, please, Akil, while I make this last point. Dr. Carson's article was that you have a bridge over a gully or a chasm that's fallen down, and the train is hurtling towards that chasm. Now, say the Democrats have created the chasm with Republican help, but the Republicans on the train are the ones that have the power to say, hey, we need to stop the train. And so you got guys like the Hatchet Man, Brother Craig, and you got all these crazy people like crazy Dr. Ben Carson, Dr. Walter Williams, Dr. Thomas Sowell, Rush Limbaugh, Ted Cruz. You've got all these people that are Rand Paul. Okay, these people, they say, these are right-wing nuts. Yeah, they're even saying that about Dr. Carson. I never thought I'd hear today Dr. Ben Carson would be called that. But yes, they are attacking him, would not let the man give the commencement address. The man just retired as head of neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University. In his final year, he was asked to give the commencement address. They would not let the man give the commencement address. Would not let Dr. Condoleezza Rice give the commencement address at Rutgers. I'm sorry to interject that, but these are ugly, ugly people. And no, Mr. Koch, it's not that they don't understand. They do understand. This is on purpose. Mr. Obama said we're going to fundamentally transform this country. That's what communism is. It's fundamental transformation. And hold one moment, caller. Thank you for the call while I finish this last point here. But Dr. Carson's article this morning was such that the conservative Republicans and the middle of the road Republicans, the ones that think, wow, these people fail to see. Obama fails to see. Democrats fail to see. People in power fail to see. That group of Republicans, they are arguing with the conservative, constitutional, Christian Republicans who are saying, why have a Bible if you're not going to use it and implement it and learn from it? Why have a Constitution if you're not going to use it to fight? These people are arguing with one another. And on our side, they're saying, Hatchet Man says the train is going to fall. He's crazy. And this is why communism is winning. Your question or comment, caller?
Good evening.
Good evening.
You are a breath of fresh air.
Thank you so much. And getting hoarse doing it too.
Okay, I'll talk for you a little while.
Go ahead.
But I just want people to realize that Dr. Ben Carson is neither Democrat nor Republican.
That's right. That's right.
He's an independent, which is what black people ought to be.
Right. But truth be known now, all of his positions, if you line up Democrat, Republican, if you just take something as simple as the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not murder, abortion, right to life. Okay. Thou shalt not steal, overtax and redistribute, free enterprise. Thou shalt not covet. Okay. Hard work. What do the Democrats give you? You need to hate the rich man, hate the doctor, hate the person that has something. It's class envy. In the Bible, just the 10 Commandments alone, caller, and Dr. Carson doesn't declare as a Republican, but he lines up as one.
But see, he just lines up as a person who believes God. That's
hey, amen, amen, and amen.
He doesn't line up because if you love God, you're neither Democrat nor Republican.
Now,
you're not even the party that they have. You're neither one. You do what God wants you to do.
Caller, I have to agree with you, but we do live in a two-party system for the most part. And like in his last election, the Democrat, Dirty Terry McAuliffe, won with less than 50% because 7% of the people voted for the independent. Okay, but
I know, but see that there's a problem with that. The problem is that we allow the Democrats and the Republicans to determine how parties come into being.
Well, caller, the reality is now, unless something, where there once was a party called the Whigs, they are no more. But the reality, we have a thing called reality. There are Democrats, there are Republicans. And if you're a Democrat, you can kill a woman in Chappaquiddick Creek, as Ted Kennedy did. You can rape a woman, as John Kennedy did, as Bill Clinton did. And it wasn't Lewinsky that he raped. It was I forget the woman, Juanita Broderick, that he raped. Okay, you can do all of these things. There's 50 some odd people associated with Bill Clinton that are dead. Okay, you can do all of these as a Democrat. A Democrat in New Jersey stole $1.6 billion. He was a Democrat. Our current Democrat governor has a past that where he's stolen tens of millions of dollars in multiple situations. And you got a Republican who may go to prison over, not that he stole now, $140,000 worth of gifts, trinkets, shoes, pocketbooks, trips. Garbage. And he may go to prison. Now, this is the reality, caller. Where's the justice in that?
I understand the reality of it.
But
if they had allowed people to just be on their own merits and their own character to run
caller,
as a candidate, then it may not have been where we got to either vote for a Democrat or a Republican.
Well,
I'm going to let you talk because you're hoarse now. So what I want to say basically is that as neither Democrats nor Republicans, we should understand that we matter. We're actually the head of the government. The people are the head of the government. Yet we never get a chance to really say anything about the government. They tell us what to do, and that's what's wrong.
Well, people are willing slaves. Now, see, that's how Satan works. Now, if Satan was bold enough to take Jesus, and this is the holy season, we got Easter coming up soon, and at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, if Satan was bold enough to go to Jesus and say, if you bow down to Satan, I'll give it all to you. They're followers, they'll worship you, they'll love you, they'll give you money, you'll have the kingdoms, you'll have it all, but you got to bow down. Now, you know that Satan has the power to do that to anyone. And so people are selling themselves.
No, he doesn't have that power.
But caller, we give it to him. Yes, because we can say like Jesus said, flee from me.
He doesn't get that power from me. He doesn't get it from me.
Amen.
When we teach people their rights, because most people don't even know that little book you're holding up. That they don't even know what the Bill of Rights say.
Well, caller, my mission, did you know I'm president of the First Amendment, Inc.?
No, I don't.
Yes. Google.
That's the first time I've ever seen you.
Okay, well, Google the First Amendment, Inc. I'm president. That's my mission because freedom is a use it or lose it proposition. If you're unaware, then you're just going with the flow. And so.
Well, that's why I'm calling you.
Well, God bless you.
I'm glad you're there so people can hear that. You should mention your radio program again.
Yes.
We should see you more often. We should invite you to different things. We should talk to people.
I'm available, caller. I give speeches all the time, and I love it when people invite me out. And if Akil would put my email address up on the screen,
I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Do you know you can go and speak to schools? Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of that. And do you know that my own high school won't have me? My college won't. I'm a graduate of Charles City High School. I'm a graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University. And because I speak the truth, because I speak it the way I speak it, if I was a left winger, if I was a Democrat, I could write my own ticket. But I would love to come out to any school, public or private, any university, a church group,
But you just
Tea
have to
Party
call
group.
and ask. You have to call and ask if you can speak because they don't even have speakers. They don't have them.
Well, I will check with some other schools, but I have.
The schools here
Yes.
in Richmond.
Well, great. I
Richmond.
appreciate that information, caller. We will definitely be on that more. But check us out when.
Let me say one thing to you before you go. I want you to talk about this, and that is that they keep saying that they voted for Obama because he's black, but he's neither black nor white. He's gray.
Okay. Right. Well,
He's
come on.
gray. but what I'm saying is he's neither.
Right. But really, but people see him as a black man. I mean,
I know, but
I understand, Carl. I got to move. We got to look at the reality of things. It's not
I
what.
know, but he did not go through what we went through here in America.
Now that you're right. That's why I say I'm blacker than Obama. My black family is American. His black family is from Africa. Nothing against Africa, but it's totally different. Thank you for the call. God bless you.
Let me just ask you a question.
You got to be
Can you
quick.
tell me how Obama got to where he is? Tell that truth.
Okay, I'll do that. And in the series now, we have 6 weeks. This is week number 2. And in one of the weeks coming up, I'm going to bring a chart to show the communist connections because we are living in communism. And so just put it on your calendar to check the program next week. We have a chart that shows the communists from the 30s and how they came and infiltrated America, and they've infiltrated academia and some of the think tanks, and they've infiltrated the media, they've infiltrated churches. And so you have communism all over the place. And Obama was brought up in communism. And I've interviewed many people, most notably David Horowitz. Matter of fact, one of the books that just came in the mail was David Horowitz's book. Matter of fact, I meant to even share with the audience some books because sometimes people want to know, well, what can we do, Brother Craig? And let me see if I even, and one of the things we can do is educate ourselves. This is the Horowitz, The Black Book of the American Left by David Horowitz. Okay, and we've interviewed him a couple of times, and Horowitz used to be a communist. He was reared by communist parents, and he woke up and smelled the coffee. Okay, Ward Connolly, Creating Equal. Folks called him everything except a child of God, Uncle Tom, whatever. The man just believes in equality, as we conservatives do. We don't, like Charles Koch, even though this unnecessary tax law gave his company a financial benefit, he argued against the law because the man has integrity and character. Okay? Now, I had to disagree with him where he was wrong, but I'm giving him his due in his integrity, his character, his intelligence. He's a beautiful human being. And Dr. Walter E. Williams, Google some of these people. And for you who want to learn what's really going on, or as I say, the really real deal, the constitutional expert, Napolitano. And this is another Walter Williams, Liberty versus Tyranny. For you who are really interested in politics and want to know why Republicans seem to be timid, okay, Bill Richardson, Confrontational Politics. And one of the things he talks about is the decency, similar to what I was saying about Mr. Koch and people of his generation. They were reared in a time of decency, and they just have that quality about them. And so they assume the opposition is what was once known as the loyal opposition, meaning we are opposite in methodology, but we're loyal in what the desire of the outcome, that we desire the best for everyone in America. No, what they desire is to be in charge without earning it. Because you can be in charge, you can be the big dog if you create a product or service that, and we have time for maybe one more call. If you want to put the phone number up there, Akil. We have about 5 minutes left in the program as I wind down, sharing with you all just some ways you can begin to fight communism. Number one, educate yourself. And one of my favorites, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. It's a 100-year-old book. This little book says more in this little book than many people can say when they write 10 volumes. Okay, As a Man Thinketh, taken from the words of Jesus. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And by the way, makes a great gift for young people. And there's a female version where it's transcribed with she rather than he, as a woman thinketh. And I know if I've given away at least 100 or 2 of these over the years. Great presents for young people. Now, this is not a political book. This book is called Captivating by John and Stacey Eldridge. And the smallest unit of government, other than, self-government, the individual, is the family, husbands and wives, mothers and fathers. And if you want your wife to feel like you have captivated her, you have to read this book, Captivating, by a husband and wife team of authors, John and Stacey Eldridge. Very biblically based, beautiful book. You have to read this book. And to understand the times we live in, The Fourth Turning by Neil Howe. A couple of years ago, when we did our Comcast series, we did the entire 6 weeks based on this, the generational dynamics of 4 cycles, and it just repeats itself as generation ages, another generation takes their place. And so, and I would emphasize this one, captivating, because the smallest, if we're going to defeat communism in America, it's going to require strong families, okay? Husbands and wives, children, extended family, community. If we want government to take a back seat, we have to take the front seat. We have to have courage. We have to stand. We have to help our neighbors, our families, our communities. And you can't do that if your own house is not in order. If that unit is not strong, then you could just hang it up. You can hang it up, okay? The schools are not going to get better until families get better. The teachers are not going to start allowing what they do to serve the student until families are strong and families demand that. And right now, families are not strong. Families are not demanding that. And so the education business is centered around providing an income for teachers, for adults, and not just teachers, for bureaucrats, administrators, the contractors that build the schools, the maintenance crew, all these people that make money off of education. It's about them. It's not about the children. And so this is how we're going to defeat communism. And so we're going to talk about it more next week. We will be talking about it further on our 990 AM WLEE. And you can get me at, if you just Google Brother Craig the Hatchet Man. And again, I am president of the First Amendment, Inc. And another thing you can do is you can help out. Go to that website. We do take donations. And for people that do not like to donate online, you can go the old-fashioned way, 8604 Staples Mill Road, 8604 Staples Mill Road, 23228, the First Amendment, Inc. And hey, it's been fantastic. I want to thank Akil. I want to thank our callers. And we've had a wonderful time. We're looking forward to coming back in the succeeding weeks. And God bless you, Richmond. Have a wonderful evening.